Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And that, I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you playing fullback up there, and I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to pitch it, and our running back coach didn't take the pass. Biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, live and local on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC. It's the Martin Houston Show powered by MaXSports. The sound of Bama Sports, your show, your team. Got the playbook wide open today. On this Thursday, we'll have at Max Recruiting. We'll get that going here in just a moment. We have Georgia versus Alabama, the comparison game, back to the future, as we look at a couple of prior Alabama games where things changed that made a difference. Then we'll also have, time permitting, some complete this statement opportunities for you to complete this statement as we look forward to what's happening out there. I want to remind you that you can always call us at 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904. That is the Alabama One hotline. You can also add your comments in on the live stream. And the live stream is on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, the Martin Houston 35. On Facebook, Martin Houston 35 fan page on Facebook, as well as Martin Houston 35 on YouTube and the X. As we move forward into the conversation, I want to remind you that this is a day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Let's take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. Kind of crazy to think that we're only 2 days away from Alabama sending the boys out to take down the mighty Georgia Bulldogs. Can they get it done? Will Alabama win the game and be left at home? We there's a chance, but man, leaving us at number 8 really, really does put us in a bind. So we'll talk about it. We'll look at it. We'll try to discuss it. Good morning, X. How you doing, sir?
Good morning. Doing well. How are you?
Doing well. As we move forward, we can talk a little bit recruiting, then get into the Georgia Alabama matchup comparison, back to the future. Talk about what Alabama and Georgia games have been like before. So we'll get into that. From a recruiting standpoint, what you got?
Yeah, of course, major recruiting weekend, even though it was down in the plains this past week for Alabama. A lot of guys in the 2024 through 2026 classes that are looking at Alabama, looking at Auburn, and of course, the biggest name currently of that bunch is Ryan Williams, the 2025 wide receiver from Maryland, who is the son of former Auburn defensive back Ryan Williams Sr. He, of course, was there visiting as an Auburn recruit, but he spoke about his experience during the game, and the entire time he said he was celebrating whenever Alabama made big plays and had everybody kind of looking at him funny around. But the way he talked really lets me know that Alabama is still in really good standing for him, and that every time he was talking, it was "we did this, we did that" when referring to Alabama. And there's a lot of noise. Auburn fans really think they still have a chance to get him. Of course, just being a legacy player for them, but he seems to be locked in, and there still are the rumors, nothing solid of him reclassifying. But I do believe if he reclassifies, it is no doubt he ends up with the Crimson Tide for sure. Another big name to keep a lookout on is 3-star running back, 4-star running back, depending on where you look, is T1 Lacey. He has been crystal ball to Alabama. He's the running back out of Texas. Things with Daniel Hill, the running back out of Meridian, Mississippi, kind of seem to be in limbo at this point. So Lacey appears to be the running back that is really being pushed hard by Alabama, as well as Jaden Ball, the 3-star running back who is currently committed to Arkansas. So really look to see those two names be the guys that Alabama is pushing for through the end of this recruiting cycle, as early signing day is now 2 weeks away, I believe. So that is coming up close. So there's going to be a lot of heated battles, as well as, since it's going to be a dead period as well. Jordan Seaton, 5-star offensive lineman out of IMG. He has Alabama in his top 5. Don't really know where he's leaning, honestly. He loves Alabama, but he's keeping things close to the vest. He's been taking his visits. Going to be a competition for him. He's a guy that, with the loss most likely of J.C. Latham, could come in and compete for early playing time next year. So I think that might be something that gets his attention. Alabama has signed a lot of tackles over the last couple of years, as well as the interior guys that they have committed for this class. But that's really the big news. Not a lot going on, as it is kind of that quiet period right now. The big thing is really more looking for names that are popping up in the transfer portal. Evan Stewart, wide receiver from Texas A&M. He was somebody a lot of people thought would end up in the Alabama class of 2022. So the flip to Texas A&M was actually more of the shocking. So now the opportunity arises of potential for him to be a part of this Alabama team in 2024. That's the big name, and a couple other names that we should look out for or positions is offensive line. Still the center position. We're losing Seth McLaughlin. We're losing Darian Dalcourt. We only have James Brockermeyer, who has taken any snaps at that position. And that's the big rumor that Alabama will be going after a center in the portal.
Yeah, and you're talking about the Evan Stewart. If I'm not mistaken, Elko was a defensive coordinator, right? He's a defensive-minded coach. And so sometimes those wide receivers, when they see those defensive-minded coaches coming in, they jump ship, especially in a world where they can move freely
Right.
about. And then, of course,
And
go ahead.
and just enough with Elko coming in, look out for, I cannot remember his first name. His last name is Robinson. He is the defensive line coach for Texas A&M, and there's a lot of rumors that if he is not retained, all those 5-star defensive linemen and 4-star defensive linemen they've gotten over the last couple of years will be looking to go elsewhere if he is not retained by Elko's staff.
This was the guy who was the interim coach, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be crazy don't think that wasn't a move by Texas A&M, a recruiting move by Texas A&M to promote him to not saying he wasn't deserving of it, but don't think that wasn't also in the back of their mind with him being the interim coach. The only concern is it could be just as negative because you went from interim to immediately to Elko quickly. So did you really consider him for the head coach job? So it'll be interesting to watch the impact of that. And then maybe he follows somebody. I mean, maybe they follow him. Saban.
Yeah.
If we can't get Bo Davis, maybe we get Robinson. So, and that's not being ugly to Freddie Roach. Freddie Roach has probably been one of the more improved coaches. His position this year in the D line has improved on this Alabama Crimson Tide team. So at the beginning of the year, he was one of those that you had concerns about, but his guys seem to be playing well. He's getting some mileage out of him. On any other recruiting news, because there's a side note that I was talking to Simeon and had not really noticed this, but I don't know if he's injured, but it's been quietly, this guy has disappeared a little bit from Alabama's defense. You got any other thing on the recruiting side before I change quickly on that note?
No, go ahead.
Jaheim Otis, is he hurt? Think about it. Did you see Jaheim? Do you remember Jaheim Otis in the Auburn game?
He played.
That's what I'm saying. And I'm not saying he's
not.
Has he lost too much weight? I can tell you that weight matters. I came into Alabama at 248. I lost down to 235. The first time I played as a freshman, I was down to 220 to 218 to 220. Now, I was a good player, but man, mentally, I was still like 250, 245 to 250. And I would go out to hit people. And man, I'm talking about several times I come back to the huddle like, woo, oh my God. That 20 pounds, it changes things when you make that physical contact and you lose some of that.
He needs to be in that Jordan Davis range, in my opinion. I think if he was in that 330 range where Jordan Davis is, he'd be unblockable and unreal because he's really athletic.
Yeah, so I just wonder, has he lost too much power down the stretch? And maybe his body doesn't hold up. Or it could be what we were talking about. The other guy's just playing a lot better, and he's going to have to keep getting better. Maybe everybody else around him have gotten better, because I know Keenan has done better. Tim Smith improved because he was challenged at the early part of the year. So it may just be that the guys around him have gotten better. But, man, we need him and that whole crew to play well against Georgia and create that push up front against Beck and not let him stay right there in the middle. We'll talk more about that as we compare what Alabama needs to do to Georgia. We'll talk more about prior games. Coming back on the other side, we're going to have some thoughts, tips, ideas, back to the future as we look at Alabama versus Georgia over the past couple of years. Couple of big moments may have changed history and destiny. We'll talk about them right here on the Martin Houston Show with Tide on Tide 100.9.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, we start our Thursday morning accident-free. Everything looking good on the roadways. Now, if you do see conditions throughout the morning that folks need to hear about, please give me a call, 205-886-8886. Townsend Nissan's year-end closeout is on now with discounts up to $10,000. No reasonable offer will be refused. Townsend Nissan, and I'm Captain Ray.
Ho, 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 ho.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Town Square Media and Hudson Pool Fine Jewelers invite you to light up the holidays. We are celebrating the citizens who put extra joy and love into the Christmas season with fantastic displays of holiday lights. Show us your houses, storefronts, trees, yard displays, anything that lights up. Tap our free app or click on our website and submit a photo. The best display in West Alabama will receive $500 courtesy of Hudson Pool Fine Jewelers, 1111 Greensboro Avenue.
Hey, you. The one on the couch who just told your friend you can't go out because you're busy? Ready to get real about your psoriasis? When your current treatments don't do enough to help control the inflammation beneath the skin, causing plaques and pain, stressing and scratching, it's time to stop hiding and get real with your dermatologist so they can help you get clear. Get real clear about psoriasis at letsgetrealclear.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
7 more shopping days till Christmas. 5 more shopping days till Christmas. 3 more and still more gifts to buy. As tension mounts and nerves are strained, you may need to pause. Relax. Put on some good Christmas music. Then open your Bible to the Christmas story. Be still and know that He is God. Christmas from Taco Casa.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The sky partially sunny today. The high for this afternoon around 61. Becoming cloudy tonight with rain moving in, the low 47. Tomorrow and Saturday, cloudy, rain likely both days. Maybe a few thunderstorms as well. Highs between 65 and 68. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 32 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show. As we go back to the future X, a couple of things as you look at the Alabama Crimson Tide and what they've been able to do against the Georgia Bulldogs. First and foremost, there's been, 4 times they've played over in Atlanta? Georgia's 0-4. Georgia has a 29-game win streak. Alabama has a 4-game win streak. Which one comes to an end?
I mean, I hope that 29-game win streak comes to an end when you stop and look at it. I mean, hey, I don't know, man. You were a part of it, but I love being able to brag. Hey, man, my dad was a part of the longest win streak in SEC football history. I can't say that anymore. I need Bama to go ahead and put an end to it before they get to 30.
Well, the last team that had a chance at a three-peat other than Alabama was Miami.
And y'all put an end to that.
And they were picked to beat us. And it was shellacking 34-13. So the question becomes, can this Alabama team do likewise? Can this Alabama team respond in such a way that they clearly take down the Georgia Bulldogs in a dominant fashion? The last time Alabama played Georgia, was it 41-24? Let me see if I can find what I'm looking for here. That's not the play I want. So I'll go back. I'm going to show something as we go back to the Alabama versus Georgia scenario X. Georgia has a couple times been able to get some pretty good breaks against Alabama. They have managed some way, somehow, to be able to take care of business. I think I'm gonna just wait, kick that to the next period, so we have a whole scenario. I got 3 things I'm going to show in the Back to the Future. Let's go to the comparison game first. When you look at Alabama versus Georgia, what's the first thing that jumps out at you in this game?
Honestly, I have to say their offensive line play. It has been phenomenal this year. I don't know if you've seen the stats, but Carson Beck has only been sacked 8 times this year. So that offensive line has done an amazing job, and that's something that Alabama is going to have to contend with. And I do believe we have the edge guys, and as we stated in the first quarter, you look at what Tim Keenan's been able to do. We talk about Justin Aboyde, Tim Smith. All of those guys have raised their level of play. And so I think it's really going to be a game that's going to be won in the trenches.
Yeah, I think without a doubt, Georgia's offensive line has performed extremely, extremely well. You can't underestimate. Think about that. Alabama had multiple games where they were sacked. 7 times? I mean,
5, 6, at the best.
Yeah. South Florida, I think we had 7 sacks. There was 5 or 6 games. I know it was 5 games in a row where we had 4 sacks in a row.
Mhm.
So that comparison. So you have to kind of give Georgia the advantage in the O-line play. But if you go for the season, but now that they have released or unleashed Jalen Milroe, went to this style offense, how many times has Jalen Milroe been sacked since the second half of the Tennessee game?
Once against, I don't think he got sacked in the second half against Tennessee. Once against LSU. I don't think he got sacked against Kentucky. I think he was just not trying to do anything against UT Chattanooga and just wanted to throw. And I think he was sacked twice. And did Auburn sack him? I know they got close a couple times, but he made some great plays to get out of there.
Yeah.
So maybe once against
He may
Auburn.
be averaging 1 sack per game since then, at the most. And the point behind that, and a couple of those sacks, to your point, X, is that he actually probably got sacked based on trying to extend plays versus just taking off and running. Where
Right.
in the beginning of the year, he was getting hit by the time he got to his landing point. Guys were running free. Guys were just, wide open, free, a free blast at him. So definitely improvement by our offensive line, but you still have to give the edge to Georgia on the offensive line side. Quarterback position. When who you taking? You taking the guy who is only been sacked 8 times? Is that on him or his line? Do you take the guy who has thrown more passes than anybody other than one team in the SEC? Do you take the guy who has successfully replaced what you would call a legend at Georgia? Do you take the guy who clearly won the job over there and stood out and has led a team that is now running the ball extremely effectively over the last 3 games? 3 games. Now that Milton is healthy, do you take Beck or do you take the guy who has learned to fight through a competition, deal with adversity, get benched, come back, learn to be a pocket passer, then be released and unleashed to become, Cam Newton like?
I mean, of course, as an Alabama fan, I'm always going to ride with our guy, and so that's Jalen. But I mean, when you just look at this matchup between the quarterbacks, it's, in my opinion, is pick your poison. What do you want out of your quarterback? Do you want a guy that is going to sit back and 100% distribute to all the playmakers around them? If that's the type of guy you want, you're going to pick Beck. But if you want a guy that can change the game on his own with his legs, as well as he's got a cannon for an arm, you look at a guy like Miro.
And so which guy you taking?
I'm taking Milrow. I'm taking Milrow because, and the reason I'm taking Milrow, not just because I'm a Bama guy, but because I think if things break down, he can do more. If it's not there, he can do more. And we saw that Saturday. We talk about the fourth and goal, 4th and 31, but the only reason that happened was because on a 3rd and 20, he gets 19 and a half yards to set up a 4th and 1 that we were able to convert. I can't trust Beck to do that, in my opinion.
So when you have two guys totally similar in their approach, I mean, from a defensive standpoint, in their approach to the game, Georgia and Alabama both like to do some of the same things. And if Alabama's able to execute their defense, Georgia's able to execute their defense, both of them are going to be successful. What is the weakness that you look at from a Georgia defensive standpoint and Alabama defensive standpoint? What's their kryptonite? It's a running quarterback to a degree. Okay. I think sometimes that is overrated. I think it's overrated at times. It can't just be a running quarterback. It has to be a running quarterback who is playing elite football, playing at a high level. And we know that those things have given Alabama trouble. But if you look at the Georgia game against Auburn and the Alabama game against Auburn, and now you throw in the Georgia Tech game, that Kirby Saban style defense has played against Haynes King, Thorne, and Thorne twice. Georgia Tech got over 200 yards against Georgia. Auburn got over 200 yards against Georgia, and Auburn got over 200 yards rushing against Alabama. What's the commonality? Running quarterback. Not great pass games. And when you take that X, you would have to say that Jalen Milrow is a better passer than Thorne for sure. And Haynes King, to me, he's playing at a higher level than Milrow is playing at a higher level than Haynes King is. Haynes King may be a more natural passer, but when you look at that, man, that is kind of special in the sense of what Jalen brings to the table. Your thoughts before we get the break here?
Yeah, but Alabama has to commit to doing it with their quarterback. And that's the question. We've seen Bama do it as of lately, but even Saturday, Bama wasn't running Jalen. Jalen was running to make things happen. So hopefully we can use that Auburn, Georgia Tech style of offense, those plays incorporated into what we do.
I don't think we need their style of offense. I think we just need to go back to what we did prior to Chattanooga to a degree, because we didn't have to do it against Chattanooga, and prior what we did to Auburn. I think we just go back to what we did. The one game this year, to me, where they absolutely went all in was LSU. Pull out that game plan. Pull out that game plan, and Alabama will be fine Saturday. Of course, Blind Squirrel Sports said watching Georgia Tech rush for 205 yards versus UGA made me feel concerned about Georgia's ability to contain Miro and company. That's legit concern. MHS 0407 said Bama needs Jalen Milrow to have a Vince Young type game. Both are from the Houston, Texas metro area. If you don't know, that's Houston. I mean, I'm assuming he's talking about Vince Young against Texas in the national championship game. And Bam Bam 72 says Miro can't slow down at line of scrimmage, looking to throw. Once the running lane opens, he needs to just go. He's one of the fastest guys on the field and a nightmare in open field. Absolutely. He can run over you, around you, by you, through you, whatever you want to call it. Let's hope they unleash the beast in Jalen Milroe. We'll talk more about that on the other side. A couple more comparisons on the other side. We'll also get into some conversation around what I think. Now, don't get me wrong, Georgia has been the most dominant team, but have they also managed somehow, some way to have the breaks go their way? Alabama's had it in the past. Georgia's enjoying that now. If all things even, who are you giving the pass to? We'll talk about it right here on the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, we start our Thursday morning accident-free. Everything looking good on the roadways. Now, if you do see conditions throughout the morning that folks need to hear about, please give me a call, 205-886-8886. Townsend Nissan's year-end closeout is on now with discounts up to $10,000. No reasonable offer will be refused. Townsend Nissan, and I'm Captain Ray.
Football is back, and no one does it better than the Sportsbook at Golden Moon Casino. This season, you can watch the games with nothing on the line. Boring. Or you can make a play in the starting lineup. The Sportsbook at Golden Moon Casino puts you into the big plays with big bets and big wins, making every game more exciting than ever. It's time for the sports glory you deserve without breaking a sweat. The Sportsbook at Golden Moon Casino. Play the game. Must be 21.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
A healthy weight, more energy, and smooth, regular bowel movements. 3 things everyone strives for.
It's me, Chuck Norris. There's one really important thing we don't talk about enough: our health. Achy joints, digestive issues, weight gain, and fatigue. We're told these are normal signs of aging. So working with a team of health experts, we came up with Morning Kick.
Morning Kick is a revolutionary formula combining 10 different supplements in one. Probiotics that help you lose weight, prebiotics for digestion, superfoods for muscles and joints, and several of the most powerful anti-aging supplements on earth. It'll help you feel youthful, energized, focused, and help manage stress.
Anybody can achieve great health regardless of their age.
Go to roundhouseprovisions.com. Use code SUPPORT or text SUPPORT to 511-511 and claim 40% off today.
Every purchase comes with our 90-day money-back guarantee.
Text SUPPORT to 511-511. Morning Kick. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by MaXSports. Don't forget about Alabama One. Alabama One, you can go check them out for all your financial needs right now. If you're in the market, you're looking to earn some money, then you need to try Alabama One. We have great products ranging from our CD products, our money markets, as well as our new Ascend products, both saving and checking accounts. That interest-bearing checking account that can help you earn some money while you also take care of your day-to-day when it comes to your business operation. That Ascend checking account can be both personal and business interest starting at 2%. That's 2% on a checking account. You're not going to find that anywhere else, with the ability to earn up to 5.2%. So additional 3.2% available based on your membership and your loyalty with Alabama One. Go to alabama1.org. You can find out all the information you need about these particular products, and we'll be glad to serve you via our virtual branch or stop by one of our branch locations in your market. All right, X. Couple more comparisons there that we need to get to. Blind Squirrel Sports said allegedly I've already started recruiting the refs. It won't hurt to have that advantage over Alabama. He doesn't need to worry about that. I mean, that's already a given. I mean, I think the refs probably already in Georgia's pocket. I know the committee really don't want to have to make a decision. Okay, so the committee's pulling for Georgia to win. Or Alabama to absolutely beat them and everybody else win. So you know what I mean? Like they don't want a close Alabama Georgia game because now you have with Alabama winning because now you have to take the team that's won 29 in a row. Just listen to this. Listen to this conversation. The last two national champion has won 29 games in a row. The team prior to that was Alabama, and they went undefeated, right? In the national championship game, right? And they get all the way to Georgia and beat Georgia the next year, right? And that was considered Georgia's best team, okay? That Georgia team had 25 guys go to the league at one season. I mean, it was a record. I don't know how many it was, but most players ever off of a team.
17 drafted.
Yeah. And then probably another 5 or 6 that win as free agents. They had 17 drafted. That's not counting the ones that win as free agents. And so, and Alabama beats that team early. Then that team comes back and beats Alabama. This team has not lost since that moment. They haven't lost since that time. And now you're going to tell me that the last team to beat them could end their streak. See, you know what I'm saying? I mean, and now it's possible that the team that beat them before they went on this streak could be the team that ends their streak, and neither one of those teams get into the playoffs.
Right.
Now, how stupid does that sound? I mean, just let that sink out there for a second. And I know it's not season to season, so I'm not talking season to season. X, that what you sent from Cole Cuba, I mean, I wish I had that before the show. I would have posted that in the program. I mean, I may bring it back tomorrow just as a conversation. Now, all of you out there in Blind Squirrel Sport, you need to hear this too. Listen to this. Alabama, when you look at overall opponents, Cole Kublik, Auburn grad, does a great job. I like him. He's a good dude. Overall opponent record. All right, listen to this. I'm going to start from worst to first. Florida State's opponents, their schedule, 67 and 76. Oregon, 72 and 72. Michigan, 73 and 71. Washington, 75 and 69. Georgia, 75 and 68. Texas, 81 and 63. Now, the last two teams left are Alabama and Ohio State. Alabama's opponents have won 85 games. Did you hear that? Alabama opponents have won 13 more games than Oregon's opponents. 85 and only lost 59. Ohio State's 82 and 62. Let that sink in for a second, okay? Now, if you just take the teams that Alabama beat, they didn't beat Texas, so that they lose that record. Going from top to bottom, Georgia's opponents have won the most games, 75-68. Washington, 75-69. Alabama, 74-58. So that if you take Texas out, the other 11 teams of Alabama has the third best record. Georgia has 12 teams in their list, right? X.
Yep.
Washington has 12 teams in their list, right?
Yep.
Alabama's opponents, Alabama has 11 teams in their list.
Yep.
And they're one off the lead with one team less schedule. So, I mean, all right. Listen to this. Teams defeated below 500.
Oh, mention Oregon.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oregon's team or overall opponent record versus teams defeated. This is the overall opponent record, meaning the opponent record by the teams that they defeated. Oregon 60-72. Did I read that right? 60-72. In Florida State, 67-76. All right. Teams below 500, X. Teams below 500. Oregon have 6 teams. They have 6 teams on their record that's below 500. Michigan has 6 teams on their record below 500. So half of the games they've won, the teams have lost half of their games. Washington, 5. Florida State, 5. Ohio State, 5. Georgia, 5. Texas, 4. Alabama at the top with 3. How do you look at these things? Anyway, that's just record and information for you guys to have talks around the cooler today. X. Real quick before we get to a break, in terms of what's happening, is when you look at this Alabama team, X, and Georgia team, any position group, and we can talk more about comparison tomorrow, but any position group that just jumps out as one has the huge advantage over the other one?
Ooh, honestly, I don't know. I mean, well, probably the tight end room for Georgia. I mean, you have to give it to Brock Bowers, and then we got to see Oscar Delp in his absence. Both of those guys are, first round draft picks. Brock might be a top 5 pick, and Delp will be a first round pick. So they have a clear edge there. Defensively, I actually think our DBs are a lot better than theirs as a whole. So that's probably where I would go.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with those two. I think the key to this game, I agree with that, is that you have the situation with the tight end, clearly Georgia. DBs, I think you do Alabama. I think the two that's probably pretty close is the linebacker position, and we may talk more about that. And I think whichever one of those run fit the best in this game against the run game is going to be one of the differences. If either team is able to get those linebackers out of position and not fit the run correctly like they did last week, I think that you're going to have some issues, whichever team it is. So I think the linebacker position could be key there. Anything else real quick before I'm getting ready to head out, but I thought I heard you about to say something.
Nope.
Yeah. And then of course, the Bowers comment and the McConkey comment is whether or not they're both healthy and full speed. If they are, Georgia's an even better team and makes this game even more interesting. Come back on the other side. We'll do a little back to the future, meaning we're going to look back at a couple of key moments in this Georgia-Alabama matchup that I think have benefited Georgia, and maybe we're having a totally different conversation if these plays don't happen. We'll talk about it on the other side.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, we start our Thursday morning accident-free. Everything looking good on the roadways. Now, if you do see conditions throughout the morning that folks need to hear about, please give me a call, 205-886-8886. Townsend Nissan's year-end closeout is on now with discounts up to $10,000. No reasonable offer will be refused. Townsend Nissan, and I'm Captain Ray.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Thursday morning. We told you earlier this week about the plans for the youth sports facility in Northport. Its development is forcing the annual Kentuck Arts Festival to find a new location. In a written statement, the city of Northport said it has been the proud host of the Kentuck Festival for the last 52 years, and the city council has worked diligently in its commitment to coming to a resolution with Kentuck to retain the festival. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news. It's free throughout the day. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Hey, Crimson Tide fans, if you have an automobile problem while you're in town for the game, call Jeff's Towing. Anytime your car won't go and you need a towing, 205-361-3997.
Take a moment and think of one thing that you really wanted to do recently, but you didn't because your foot, leg, or back pain got in the way. Hi, it's Dan from the Good Feet store, and that's why we're here, to help you get back out there. Good Feet arch supports from the Good Feet store. They're designed to alleviate foot, knee, hip, and back pain, plus provide improved balance, more comfort, and, well, a better life. Try them for yourself with a free arch support fitting at the Good Feet store.
Visit us at 1800 McFarland Boulevard or goodfeet.com.
Keep it locked into Tide 100.9 for more of the Martin Houston Show with Martin Houston and X's and O's Sports, Xavier Houston.
Young in trouble, runs up in the middle of the pocket, got away from the rush, and he's going to get the first down, but the ball is out at the end. I don't know who got back on top of it. I think maybe Bryce Young.
I think he did. I think he stuck out his right hand and got it. I don't know how, but he did. And Mechie's down. Does a great job knocking that ball out.
Let's see what happened to Mechie at the end of the play. Makes his cut and then trying to stop and cut back inside. And he just rolled his ankle on his own, I think.
He felt that left side, didn't he, as he's tried to come back to the quarterback. I think it was his knee. Now,
that's what they're working. The Alabama sideline. Again, closing in on 100 catches on the year.
All right.
It's Patrick Mahomes.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show. I apologize that I did not get you the audio, the video there. But X, man, the Mechie injury. The Mechie injury. Whew. How big a deal was that? How big a deal was the Mechie injury?
Man, it was hard. It was hard to watch, and just one of those things, man. It's the way the game goes sometimes.
At that point in the game, it was 17 to 17. 17-17. And Mechie, tears his ACL. But Alabama goes on to win that particular game. And it was dominant. and it was dominant Ags. I mean, 41-24. And I know people say, well, you still won that game. The next game, we lose. Let's see if I can find that particular, because remember, we're talking about Back to the Future. At that point in the game, what was going on? Alabama clearly the toast of the town acts, and all of a sudden, you now have an opportunity where you're getting ready to play them in the national championship game. And it just didn't go your way that day. Why? I think we can figure it out. Let's see if I can find that particular clip, X, because as we're going into that, people say, well, you overcame it again when Mechie got hurt, but there was a difference, I think. And let me play this play and we'll go from there. Right here. All right.
Who launches to Williams, who's wide open down the field. How, you wonder? He's to the Georgia 35. The main target staying down, though, and gripping his knee. Oh, my goodness. It was John Mechie at the same time of the game in Atlanta. It went down with a knee injury.
He went right down the middle of this defense. Safeties are both to the outside and works right down the middle behind the linebackers. Safeties are held to the outside with outside perimeter routes. And then at the end of the play right here, making a cut.
Awkward step. You see him grimace.
Yeah, I mean. So you look at that X. What's the chances of that happening? I mean, you literally had Mechie go down, and then you had Williamson go down, almost the same point in the game. And people say, but you overcame it the first time. Well, the difference was you still had a first-round draft pick at wide receiver. Right. When Williamson goes down, now I put this on coaching. I think we had plenty of time to get more guys ready, and we didn't. And that's on Alabama. Sure. But do you think, and we won't ever know, and Georgia had injuries that year, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Do you think Georgia wins that game with Williamson? Had no answer.
No. And I believe that play would have been the turning point in the game, regardless if he gets hurt or not. Because that cut he makes, he's got that safety beat. That's 6.
Right.
The play was going to be the turning play of the game, regardless of if he got injured on it or not, because the injury turned it for Georgia. He doesn't get hurt. That's a 60, 70-yard touchdown, and they immediately go, oh, no, not again.
And the other side of that is that Alabama was down DBs and wide receivers the second time.
Right.
Second time. So, and the only reason I point this out is this. I want both teams healthy. I want Bowers in, I want Ladd McConkey in, and I want all of Alabama's players in. Because I don't want to hear either way. Because we've done it for 2 years. Hey, if we hadn't lost it, we would have beat you guys. Well, we didn't beat them. Okay? But all I'm doing is pointing out that Georgia is the most dominant program in college football. I don't question that, X. I don't question that.
No.
But let me show you one more thing that's really not even Alabama. Let me see if I can find it. Let me even. I mean, this is the craziness of the most dominant team in college football. But watch this.
Rolling, looking that way, retreating, and he'll just throw it out of the back of the end zone. There was heavy pressure. Actually, a flag comes out. I thought it was going to be way beyond the end line. Harrison worked his way back and actually made a play on the ball and is down on the field.
Back end. I thought it was you. It was fluttering.
Personal foul, targeting, defense number 22. Half the distance to the goal, automatic first down. The play is under review.
Of course, they'll review it. That's Javon Bullard.
So when you look at that particular play, that's another one that happened that benefited Georgia. So 3 of their biggest wins in the last 3 years, the wide receivers who were hurting them all got hurt. Maybe there's some voodoo in Georgia. Either way, X, we'll talk about it more tomorrow. I just wanted to leave you guys thinking about that tomorrow. We'll talk about the keys to victory tomorrow. We'll talk about score prediction, Georgia's total yards. X, any closing thoughts you got before I let you get out of here?
You know, you bring up the fact that it happens with injuries. You're right. I want these guys to be healthy. I want Bama's guys to be healthy. There's the rumors of Jace McClellan not being able to go. If that is true, we'll talk about that more tomorrow and who Alabama uses to replace him.
Yeah, and hey, listen, I'm not making excuses. I'm just pointing out that Georgia's 3 biggest games, in my opinion, over the last 3 years, a dangerous wide receiver has been injured. Has that changed the narrative around Alabama versus Georgia? Possible, even though Georgia is, in my opinion, the most dominant program in college football. They've had some help. Will both teams be healthy? We hope so, and we look forward to talking about the big showdown on Saturday. We'll talk about it on tomorrow. Join us tomorrow as we keep the conversation going right here on the Martin Houston Show. That's Xavier Houston. I'm Martin Houston. That's Noah Haynes. We appreciate all our callers, listeners, viewers, and chatters for being a part of the program. Remember this, trust in the Lord always. Lean not your own understanding. All your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. Roll Tide out to everybody.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9